So this is my homie Rich, Hydrilla Gear. You guys can check him out. I'll put a link down in the description box. So Rich, you know a lot more about boat, and you're kind of a speed guy.
Ooh.
He is a speed guy. You've had some fast boats. I'm not a super speed guy, but I would like to get a few more miles an hour out of my nitro. What are some general, I know obviously the prop, we'll get to that part, but what are some other things that I can do to kind of tweak that performance? Like, where do I start? What are some factors to look at?
I'm going to say key factor is balance in the boat.
What do you mean by that?
Positioning, like nowadays, everybody has a bunch of tackle they want to run in the boat.
Yep.
And they forget about that when they start trying to set up their boat for performance.
Okay.
So they'll start messing with the prop, jack plate, heights, setbacks, but they don't touch anything else in the boat. And you can have all this weight forward when it should be midship or further back.
Interesting.
And you're not going to get the results that you're looking for if the boat's not balanced. And it'll make it harder to drive as well.
So when you're talking about balance, so that's something you even look at before we look at like the prop and that. So where do I want most of my weight on a bass boat?
Depending on the brand boat, you're going to want it, I would say, midship further back.
Midship to further back. And especially, so this is another aspect. So I need to kind of rearrange my tackle midship to further back. I have lithium batteries.
Yep.
And I know in some boats that makes that back lighter and can take away from performance, or is it a question of how you place and sort of like lay out those lithiums?
It's going to be mainly, it's not going to be layout of lithiums. The best thing to do if you're going to run, in my opinion, if you're going to run lithium batteries, pull all the stuff out of the boat. Pull all your tackle out of the boat.
Yep.
Put the lithium batteries in the boat, take it to the water and run it. And see what's going on. Now, a lot of these guys, there's certain boat brands notorious. They put lithium batteries in the boat slow down 5 miles an hour. It has no bow lift, things like this, right? Essentially, they're lightening up the back of the boat, and there's still a bunch of weight further forward. You need to get that weight further back. Leverage, set back with jack plate, things like that are going to be able to help you get the bow up. Personally, myself, I run a duffel bag of plastic, soft plastic. So you probably got 150 pounds in the bow of your boat.
Dude, yeah.
Take that duffel bag, throw it in the bilge, and go run it and see how the boat handles. You're going to notice it's either going to help or it's going to hurt.
And that can make that much of a difference.
100%.
So then in regards to the prop, and I know it really varies like 100% per boat. I run the stock prop that I get from on my Mercury 250. I think it's that what's on right here, the 23P, like the standard. What do I want if I wanted to start playing with props? And I think it's a question that a lot of guys ask. Where do I even start? Like, what's a good, do you go up in pitch? Do I go to a 4-blade? Like, I'm really an amateur with this stuff. Like, what's the first thing to look at?
I would start with what your dealer's going to strap on there because you've already paid for that, basically, right?
Right.
So a lot of, like, especially a Ranger, they're going to come in here with a 23 Fury on it, typical 250 setup. Go run the boat.
Right.
See what you got. See what you got for water pressure. See what you got for speed. And then look at your RPM. And depending on where your RPM is, high or low, you're going to change props. Okay. So typically, if we had a 3-blade prop and we're looking for about, I don't know, rule of thumb's 250 RPM. Okay. We want more. Okay. Right? We're going to drop a pitch. Okay. Let's say we want to tighten that RPM up a little bit, so we want to drop about 250. Okay. We're going to pick up a pitch. So when you dropping a pitch is so dropping a pitch would be 22, going up a pitch is 24. That's correct. And what is pitch? Like just a bit. Now you're going to get me in trouble. But basically, so you're going to have pitch, you're going to have rake. It's all the magic that's pounded into these blades. Right. Okay. You know, different industry, but. Yeah, I mean that's. But it's kind of like the length of the tongue, and then how it's like bent out. No, I mean that's all going to be diameter, but it's okay. Yeah, I mean it's just the way that they measure the props, and So in my situation with my Z20, when I'm doing, I can do about 70, and I'm spinning like 6,000, just around 6,000, 6,200, something like that. So I guess in my case, I want to drop my RPMs to get more out of it, I would assume, and maybe go up and try a 24 to get started because I don't really want to spin more than that. Well, you're around 6,000? Yeah. 70 mile an hour? Yeah. I mean, what's the average speed you're seeing out of those boats? With boat owners? 70, I think 70 to 73 or so. You're right there. I'm right there. Yeah. So I don't even need to make a change, you don't think? Really? Yeah.
So sometimes it's just better to let it kind of be instead of playing around with the motor and blowing thing out.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have time doing your research, right? So just like when you're buying your boat, right? You're looking at brands, you're paying attention to speeds, no matter what people say. I'm happy with my boat doing 60, okay.
Right.
But when they researched that boat, they were looking, and this joker does 75 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So they want to run 75 miles an hour. Now, was that an outlier?
Yeah.
Is the average 70? You're gonna be happy with 70. You're gonna have outliers every now and then. The guy might do 75, 73.
Right.
But again, that's...
So I guess sometimes part of the point is, so I wanted to maybe try to get more out of my boat, but sometimes there's a reality, there's a ceiling, and you're not going to get more than what you get out. Like you might be able to tweak a mile an hour more, but the reality is like there's a certain ceiling. Every single hull has its own ceiling.
Everything has a limit.
So you got to kind of do your research, figure out where your ceiling is, and if you're there already with your stock, or if you need to make some tweaks and kind of screw around with it a little bit.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, if the average setup like this is 72 miles an hour,
right,
and then you go and add forward-facing sonar, you go and add an 85-pound trolling motor, Mega 360, Active Target 2, you know, LVS 34.
All the shenanigans.
All that is going to impact the way the boat handles, the balance of it, the speed, the way it feels when you're driving it. And you got to be careful. You know, you start putting 200 pounds of crap on the nose of a boat, and now it's tournament morning, they've called your number, you're all tuned in, and you're trimming it up. You're only going to get so high before that weight's going to impact the nose of the boat, and it's going to drop the nose.
Yeah.
So, again, average speed of your boat 70 miles an hour. You start adding all this stuff to it. You lose a couple miles an hour, that's normal. You know, you can't
tweak
ask too
beyond
much.
that.
And there's a limit. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I enjoyed this, and these are some tweaks that you can sort of assess or maybe not make. I think that's part of the trick too, is understanding where your ceiling is, understand what you can get out of the boat. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, a little shop talk with Rich. We're gonna be doing a few of these videos and talking about how you can tweak out your bass boat, get the most out of it, and sort of, you know, make it all extra fancy in that. So hit that like and subscribe button. We will see you back from the shop, hanging out with Rich, and definitely check out Hydrilla Gear down in the description box. Tight lines, homies.